kind of associated with this is this total physical response, where you're doing things actively, perhaps, as opposed to looking at a book or reading something. You're picking things up, and putting them down. You touch your nose. So you may go through a few words, like for your face, nose, ears, mouth, eye. So point to them, make sure they know the point to. Point to your eye. Have them do that. Point to your eye. Point to your nose. Point to your mouth. So they're very, they're actively doing these things. Stand up. So you're standing up as you say that. Sit down. Stand up. Sit down. Then have them do it as well. Stand up. Sit down. Good. And they can say the words as well if they want. Some will feel comfortable doing that. Some may not. So it's, well, we got here for examples. Could be items in the room. I think I told you how my students had gotten a job at a restaurant setting up tables. So, we put out a table setting and all the words for each item right there on the, in her home. And she could look at these things and point them out to me when I said, okay, where's the plate? Where's the knife? Where's the fork? These are some things that are very much more interactive than the usual kind of lessons you will be doing as time goes on. What else do you have here? Any questions about anything so far? No. You should all have. Somebody was saying something. Oh, yeah, no, okay. Vicki, that was very hard. I know, Vicki. You're among friends here. Question two, since only seen one volunteer, yes, okay. You've got the picture here of the mother, father, and baby in your book. I think it's probably one of the last pages you have. Remember how I told you it was important to try to get some pictures together for your little survival kit, and how useful they can be in when a lesson is stumbling along and you're like at the end and you still have time and you want to do something. Having a pictures for them to talk about. But this is, one that I've used for a number of years. And for a beginning student, it may be particularly helpful. You want to do point two questions. So, point to the lady, and point to the woman, point to the girl, maybe they're having trouble. So, okay. Point to the baby. Point to the baby. Okay, we can do that. Point to the lamp. Point to the light. Point to this. Point to the window. So you get them to do these kinds of things of pointing. Do yes, no questions with them. Is the baby crying? Is the baby crying? No. Is the man sleeping? Is the man sleeping? No. Is the man reading? Yes. Yes. And then you might want to try some open-ended questions. Are they on vacation? Are they on vacation? Well, they see the Rose Motel. They might say, yeah, they're on vacation. And they might be, but somebody else might say, no, maybe not. Maybe their house had a fire and now they have to stay in a motel and the husband's looking for a new job because everything has been destroyed, whatever. But you just try to get a little conversation out of them. Again, the higher the level of English that your student has as a beginner or at any level, the more sophisticated a response you'll get from them. And indeed, somebody who's at an intermediate or higher level will be able to make up a whole story about who they are and what their names are and where they're going and what kind of a job he's going to get and so on and so forth, So the use of pictures, very, very helpful.
Betty, what is the length of a class or a time we spend with the tutor?
Yeah, we're trying to encourage 2 hours a week. Okay. And I think I may have said already, if you get a real basic student, you're not going to be able to do anything more than an hour at a time. You're going to need to do 2 1-hour classes. I mean, you will be drained, and so will the student. It's extremely, extremely difficult work, to try to do it at a really basic level. And, eventually you'll see that they're improving because now you can go more than an hour, and you might be able to go almost, an hour and a half, and, you're not exhausted. Or you might just be able to take a little break, I saw that with my Turkish gal. In the beginning, she knew very little, but as we progressed, we could keep on going for a little bit longer. But that's what we're looking for, a year's commitment. I think I touched on that in the beginning. A year's commitment. Sometimes you can do it, sometimes you can't. The student disappears, loses their job, moves out of state, your work schedule changes. Maybe that student, the time that you're meeting doesn't work anymore. That doesn't mean you have to quit. We've always got somebody around who, is looking for a tutor. So you can contact us. And maybe this just hasn't proved to be something that you thought it was going to be. I'm hoping next week I can get a hold of a tutor. There's the tutor in the last class, Lois, just wrote a nice little paragraph. I think it must have been in our little newsletter that we put out, and I was so surprised to see how thrilled she. I wasn't surprised, but it was so nice to see. She's only been tutoring for maybe 3 months, and how much she's enjoying it, and the challenges of it, and all this kind of thing. So I'll have to see if I could get her to show up next week and just talk about her experience a little bit. That might be nice, might be helpful. Usually I have a tutor and a student come. Might even be able to get her student. I don't know. I can't picture all this stuff on Zoom. So, I'm feeling my way through this, but, perhaps we could get both of them to come visit us and talk about their experience. That's essentially everything here. Why don't we just open up to the appendices? What time do we have here? It is 10:40. Good, we're moving right along here. To these appendices, we could just talk about them a little bit. Page,
The book.
yeah, the book, yeah. 194. So you see in A that there's just a lot of abbreviations that are associated with ESL that you might see in some of the sites that you go to visit. Just as a frame of reference more than anything. They talk about TOEFL, teaching English as a foreign language, TOEFL, we're self a TOEFL, the test of English as a foreign language. The students that come into this country have to pass have to have a certain level of literacy, ability, I guess would be a better word, to pass this TOEFL, the TOEFL exam that's given. It says that they should be ready or fairly capable of taking advanced classes or taking college classes. In fact, many of them have a lot of trouble and really need to do remedial, I don't know about remedial, but need to get more English classes here. UB has, of course, they just changed their whole curriculum and their whole life down there. They're quite a different place. I'm presuming that they will continue their MBA program, but and the nursing program, the MBA program is where we've had several students come from, and they passed the language the TOEFL test. We're able to get in there, and we're really, really struggling. So there's also a whole program for them, and they may pre-test. I know they may pre-test them before they even begin their classes. I'm not sure, but they have a very concentrated daily series of classes in English. They're all, one built on top of the other. And there's listening devices that they have that they spend a good bit of time doing that. They're tested frequently. and they really have to progress. They really have to work hard to improve their English with it. I even had a student that just went down there to take it because she wanted to become more proficient in English. And I said, Sala, this is tough stuff. I mean, you're really moving along quickly. She said, yeah, I really have to study and work hard to be able to pass this. So there is some of that support built into helping these students when they come. You've got this appendix here, the National Reporting System, the NRS. That's the appendix. This just talks about, you know, these things that we've already talked about, the literacy level, what to expect at that level. Here they break it into a high beginner and a low beginner, a high and low intermediate student, as well as an advanced ESL student. And it might be useful to you in, you know, just, you know, trying to look at your student and with a little bit more detail in mind as to what their capabilities might be. And also keeping in mind, many of them may be able to read well and understand, have a lot of trouble speaking. May be able to understand very well, not so good at reading. So there may be, they may be at different levels in the listening, speaking, reading, writing process for whatever reason, their education, their particular, you know, personality. These things all affect how they learn and how they do.
Excuse me, Betty, when we get assigned a student, would you do some preliminary screening to help us decide what level they are, or is that going to
Yes, yes. You know, I'm glad this is kind of why I brought this up, because sometimes the tutors, like you guys, feel like they're trying to make these assessments and things. I show you this mostly to give you more clues or more ideas about what to expect, maybe. But we do as much pre-screening as we can. I talk to them on the phone, so I have some kind of sense of how good their English is.
Okay.
I know the books here, the Challenger books, so that, you know, we make our best assessment and decision. It may turn out that the book is a little bit too high for them. It's fine. Let us know. We'll come down. But usually I would start with something lower than higher. If they're, you know, if you're starting to use the book and they're breezing through this, okay, it's like, all right, well, let's go towards the end of the book. Let's see if they can still breeze along. If they can, then good. They know this, they're good at this level. Let's go to the next level. We don't use a very sophisticated approach, as you can see. Other places similar to ours in the big cities, I believe that the government obligates them to do this, I think it's CASAS is one of the tests that they do to assess students and their level and to indicate the kind of progress that they've made. We kind of wing it, and yet, you know, we're pretty much on target, I think, in our decisions and understanding of where a student is. So, you know, we try to fill you in on that. Maybe somebody else say, you know, looks like they're a high beginner, low intermediate. Let's try a book 2. Let's see how that is. And you're going, when you start, especially on the lower end, you know, you want to go through some of the basic things. Do they know letters and numbers and colors and shapes? Never be afraid to come in too low with somebody, because it gives them a chance to show their stuff. You know, if you're coming in too high and you know, they're stumbling over everything, they feel like dopes. Start at a lower level and work on up, and you know, this makes them feel good. And I've seen some real concrete things like that happen here, where, you know, the tutor was trying to use a book 3, and she says, you know, it's just so hard for her, you know. I said, well, then come on, let's ditch that and let's try a 2. And it was still somewhat difficult, but she could do it and feel much more successful, and indeed was more successful in her reading and the things that she was trying to accomplish there. So we'll help you. That's the key. I'm here on Monday mornings. You also have my home phone number. You got my email address. But if you email me at home, you better be specific as to who you are. I'm like everybody else. I got 192 emails sitting there every morning. Please shoot me, you know. So just let me know who you are. Good question. Anything else about your obligations or your responsibilities as a tutor? Tammy will send out a email every month asking you for your prep and tutor time. And we used to talk about travel time. That's pretty much at an end these days, but you might be tutoring here. So in which case you want to include that as part of your time. And any kind of goals that your student has reached or any kind of accomplishments. Maybe they got their first job. That's a big deal. Maybe they're starting maybe they got their citizenship or their green card. That makes us happy. That's a good step in the right direction, So to share their successes, goals reached, this is important for all of us. Just to be sure to get that information about your time back to us, because we'll bug you, to pieces. But it's really important because we've got to be able to show our supporters the work that's being accomplished by our tutors. And you all do a great job. You gotta give yourself the credit for what you're doing. Anything else?
I have a question. Does the teacher training that we're doing right now, does that count as hours?
Yeah, we'll calculate that to
Okay.
hours, but that's a good question. Nobody ever asks it, but we do put it down as time spent. So that's okay. Anything else?
Do you know if Stratford Library is allowing people to meet face to face?
I doubt it. I don't know. Libraries have not been open. Really? You think?
Stratford is open. I was just wondering if they would allow that. I'll ask.
Yeah, Tammy is saying that she thinks that they are.
I've heard a few people have.
Yeah.
I'd call first.
Okay. Yeah, why don't you call them first just to be sure? Again, the rooms, they have some very nice tutoring rooms there upstairs. I mean, you're really on top of each other. You may, you're sitting next to them. You're barely 3 feet away. So you may not be quite comfortable with that. But there are other areas there that you could probably tutor in if you do it quietly, Milford Library also has some areas. They don't have tutoring rooms per se, but, in the Orange Library, the beautiful library there, has some rooms, spaces. Yes, Robert, Patrick? I don't know what it is.
Yeah, how do you assign students to a teacher? For example, you have a Sasha who comes from Russia, doesn't speak a word of English. How are you decide to assign Sasha to me or to Claudia or to Marilyn or Jane? How does it work? Or vice
Usually
versa?
it's just eeny, meeny, miny, mo, but only because of the times do I say that. The first thing I look at is the time that you're available. Sometimes people are working in the real world where they're at work, so they're not available during the day, but they are available from 6 to 8. And likewise, the students may only be available 6 to 8. Maybe the tutor doesn't mind tutoring on the weekend. Maybe that's really good for the student too, because they're working Monday through Friday. So really time is what I look at. And the same for some of you. Maybe you only want to be tutoring during the day when everybody is at their brightest and best. Doing it in the evening is not really, like after 5 o'clock, let's say, it's not really something we'd want to do. So that's the primary thing I look at. It isn't even nationality or any of those kind of things. Perhaps there's something in their interests that I see that if I had to decide between 2 people and I see that you like to go jogging and so does your students, I thought, well, maybe we'll go out for a jog together someday. So maybe I would put those 2 together based on availability and interests,
Okay.
It's a good question. Does that answer?
Yeah, sure. That's fine.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't work out, then of course.
Yeah, then you let us know. If it's not working, if they're not coming online, they're not giving you, they're not responding to you, you need to let us know. And if we bring it to an end, sometimes we can intervene. But in any event, let us know if you're having trouble. So when you get your student, I don't know if it's going to happen next week or not. Given the weather this week, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get in here to make some of these assignments. Some of you will probably have an assignment. But if not Monday, then maybe during the week. You want to get a hold of these students as soon as you can. A really basic student who's got minimal English will also have a person who probably brought them to here or who's been identified on the application as being a primary contact person. So you might need to talk to them rather than your student and find out, what you can about about the student and what they want to do, and have both of them online or in your meeting place so that you can get some clear idea in that first meeting. After that, it's like, bye-bye. Now they've got to fly on their own. Both of you have to fly on your own.
Betty Vicky has another chat question.
Oh, thank you. Geez, what am I doing now? Great idea. Yes, encourages confidence. Milford Library. Okay. Has closed plexiglass area, so that's nice to know. Can we use Milford Mall? Yes, you could. I mean, you can basically use almost any place. There is a list of places. I know Starbucks, that's in the Barnes and Noble, is rather nice. The mall is okay. It's just the distractions that are around you. That for a first meeting, maybe the mall or Starbucks might be fine. To do that indefinitely, I would say the background noise would be distracting. I don't know of anybody who's ever done all their tutoring there, and the owners may not want you to be there taking up a seat. I remember we were going down, we were meeting as a group of follow-up after people started tutoring. We were meeting down at Pops down here, I think, and on a Saturday morning, and we were ordering a cup of coffee and then hanging around for like an hour. And I was leaving, he was saying, I appreciate your patronage, but I have regular customers that come in here. These are their seats, as it were. I said, no, we got the picture, So we tried to do something else. So this day they may be thrilled to have you, I don't know, but on the other hand, there may be some resistance, just something to keep in mind. So almost any place, Vicky, is fine, but probably not for long term, just because it's noisy, and maybe it's not so noisy at the mall anymore, even in the eating places. So see what works. Just be really careful, use your masks, socially distance, all that kind of good stuff. So you're going to try to get a hold of your student early. I'm old fashioned. I like to call them on the phone. If they're more advanced, they'll probably be happy to talk to you. If they're not going to answer. You could leave a message. They might call you back. You could try to email them as well. Send them a text. See how that goes. A lot is going to depend on your level of comfort and communicating that way.
Hey, Betty, will you do a tutorial on, I've used Google Classroom. I used to set up classrooms and use Google Classroom. I'm not asking you to do that, but I've never initiated a Zoom meeting. I've joined them. I've never initiated a Zoom meeting.
You're definitely asking the wrong person for that. But I know sometimes I have, Tammy, that's why we do it here. Tammy sets me all up. And I mean, I know it's not that hard.
Okay. All right.
But Tammy could probably help you. I think I have one of my last tutoring students sent me a step-by-step thing on how to do it. Do you want to offer a comment now and how to do it? Or?
I was listening to other things.
She was, Mariellen was asking about setting up a Zoom meeting, how to do it. She's not familiar with that.
Oh, yeah, we can, if she wants to stay on after, I can show her then. If everybody wants to stay on after, I could do a share.
Does everybody know how to do that? Or
basically, if you just go to zoom.com, it walks you through it. There's an option to join a meeting or host a meeting. If you choose host, it walks you through it. But
and then how do you contact the person, Cindy? With like with their email or?
Ordinarily, yeah, you would send them a link to the meeting, and then when they hit the link, if you're the host, you let them in, and so it's pretty self-explanatory.
So it's pretty much just like Google Classroom because that's what we used to do. I used to send them an email with the link, and they would then pop in. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
and
use what works for them.
If you want to use Google and it works for the student, just do it. Nothing says it's got to be Zoom. Maybe you like Skype. I don't know whether that's still as popular as it used to be.
Yeah, there's even Facebook. There's even Facebook.
Facebook,
right,
Facebook,
right. Facebook Live, FaceTime,
yeah.
FaceTime, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, Mariellen, because you may all be wondering, oh no, do I have to do it? Do I have to Zoom? No, you don't.
Okay.
Pick whatever works for you and for the student, and just kind of go for it.
Yep.
You're limited to a 40-minute meeting unless you pay for Zoom. So if you do a free Zoom account, you have to limit your lessons to 40 minutes or under, unless you pay and join. So
Oh,
that may be a limiting factor.
That's
yes,
right.
thank you. Tammy is saying that if it's one-on-one, it is not limited.
Oh, is that
Um,
true? Okay.
Yeah, so that's good for everybody to know as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
So you can do it for a couple of hours. Yeah, there's Tammy. Oop, gone. That's all right. So hopefully that will help as well. Any other things that come to mind? So, so I'll have to see how we'll do next week as far as giving out your assignments. Tammy and I will talk. It would be nice. Does everybody live nearby? I don't know if everybody does. I know some of you are Milford people.
Yep.
I'm Guilford,
Yeah, you're Guilford. That's right. I knew there was somebody from afar.
but I come down that way a lot, so that's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just to give you, you'll get her application, their application, I should say. You get a culturegram, which I think I pointed out last week. It's on the country, 4 or 5 pages, 6 pages on their country, the culture, the religion. I mean, anything you can think of, the politics, and then some other aspects of culture that you should probably just be aware of. So that's what you usually get as a packet. Tammy, did you want to offer something?
I just wasn't sure if there were still questions on the Zooming in Google Classrooms and all of that. I mean, you can use whatever platform works for you. We just happen to use Zoom. That's what we have an account for. If it's one-on-one, you have unlimited time. If you have three or more, then it's the 40 minutes. So, whichever you want to do. And I don't mind getting on with multiple people or one-on-one. I've been doing it all year just to, show you like screen sharing and kind of go over things together. So I don't mind doing any of that with practicing. A lot of times students will, call into me and they're like, can we practice so I can get onto class? So, I don't mind. It's a learning curve for everybody. And, I always suggest like just jump on and kind of just try it. But yeah, if you get into the main program of Zoom, you can set up meetings, etc. And so it's kind of nice to be able to do that. But we have another tutor that uses Google Classrooms, and they do a lot of writing prompts. So they actually utilize it in with writing, and so they all share their writing essays, and then they go over them. And so they do a lot that way, and that works really well. So, you'll kind of find your own rhythm with all of it and what works best for you. And then, we can always certainly help to incorporate that into whichever platform you want to use. Okay. What's nice about the Zoom is that you can do all these screen sharings too, which I really like. So, for example, one of our tutors, Larry, just sent me a video that he did a crossword puzzle, and it was a 30-minute exercise. And he brought up, they were using the crossword puzzle from one of our newspapers, and he would bring up pictures for each of the answer, and they would talk about what it was and the different meanings for each picture. Like I think they were talking about a mob is a group, and then that started talking about the capital, and so it kind of can lead into other kind of things that relate to them. And so he kept bringing up pictures, and that helps kind of reinforce the language. So there's a lot of other ways that you can use Zoom with photos and graphics, videos. You can be sharing those kind of things, which I really enjoy. So it's kind of like a PowerPoint presentation for me. That's why I kind of like it, because I'm more of a visual. So it works well for me. But other people use other things. And some people don't use any of that, and they just want to do conversation, and they get on FaceTime or Skype, and that's what they do with that. So it's hard to say, like, this is what you're going to do. We kind of offer a whole lot of things, and then when we kind of figure out what it is you're going to do, then we'll work with you to make that happen.
Okay.
Okay. Does that answer a little bit?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Thanks, Sammy. Okay. So we'll see. I'll have to meet with Tammy a little bit here this afternoon or after this. And I know I've got a few students that could be assigned pretty quickly, but I'm not sure who else has come in and who else is in need. So, so much for an email, and much for an email. And if we don't do it during the week, you know, during next week, we'll make sure that you get someone to get started with. Any other thoughts? How are you feeling about this?
Good.
You're the best thumbs up group I've ever had, I gotta tell you. That's nice. Yeah, that's good. And it's, you know, just to know that you can do it. Just think of everybody else who has done it before you, and there's just a lot of flexibility. And it's not on one hand that's good, on the other hand that's a little more intimidating. You know, we don't have a ABC 1, 2, 3. This is what you do to get them through it. A lot of room for creativity and finding different ways. And Tammy just pointed out some of them. You know, many ways to do the same thing. So okay, then we'll do your homework. Make sure you start on that chapter 7, because it's long and hard, but it is. I mean, it's hard just because it's long and because it's got a lot of detail to it. But to remember that down the line as a very useful chapter to use. And also, I know, did we get to Appendix C here? You know, this was, I don't know whether we did or not, but it was page 202. Just that there are many things here that you could, I guess I did address it. If you're looking to do something, a particular aspect of life, you know,
Right.
you could look at this and might help to give you a little bit of direction. The student wants to get a job, for example. Okay, what are some of the ways I might want to try to approach it? We also have some books in here that, you know, you should feel free to come in and take a look at our library. Usually I give a tour of the library, and I guess that's not quite as possible. Maybe what I'll try to do next week is have some books, level 2 books, and even level 1 books that we have here for your use, that you might be interested in as you move along with your students. But the 3 is just good for, again, ideas of what you might want to do and trying to teach a certain topic. Okay, so if there's no other questions, I'll see you next week, weather permitting. And look at your Beata, look at your Celia scenario, read your chapters, what else? And look at your appendices a little bit more in detail if you need to. Okay, well, thank you. You're a great group. It's a great thumbs up. Right.
Okay.
Thank you,
So,
Betty.
Thank you, Betty.
Good. Yep, pleasure's mine. Feel low, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.